The 2JZ is king, and I can say that because like it has history, like it has a bunch of time to mature and go through all of that. You know, as of now, if you were, let's say, put the timeline that the B58 has and compare that to the 2JZ at that time, like it's still even hard to say because like there was nothing to control it back then. So, you know, you have a cast block, you have aluminum, you have a lot going on in this aluminum head, you have less going on over here, but you know, it's either or. But I mean, to sum it up, in my opinion, as of now, 2J is king. I have experience in both of them, but the B58 will give it a run for its money up to a certain point.
You gotta decide, you gotta choose a side, you gotta pick, you gotta do what's right, but you gotta choose the fight.
Welcome back to Go Hard Podcast. I'm your host, Noel.
Justin.
Got my host, Justin, here, man. We're out in Orlando. We're at one of the biggest shops in Florida, or maybe in the country. We'll find out on today's podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching. What do you guys say, Justin?
I'm excited for this one.
Right?
This is going to be a good one.
We planned this out, what, like a month ago?
Yeah. Hit up Ryan, said, hey, y'all want to do a podcast? He said, can it get wild? It's like, yeah, we go hard.
Otto usually
Don't look over here.
Otto usually, likes to start it off. I'm
heard he
usually the
likes
one
to
that
end it too,
finishes
though.
it. No, I'm the finisher.
I mean, I go hard, so
He goes hard.
Go.
How hard?
hard.
Got it. All right.
Hard.
Just want to make sure we was on the same page.
You seen
yeah,
Kevin
we're on
Hart?
the
Have
same
you seen the
page.
movie? He goes hard.
Let's give it up for Titan Motorsports, man. Tell us, introduce yourself. Then
I'm
you can-
Nero at Titan Motorsports.
owner of Titan Motorsports.
I'm one of the owners. Sometimes I'm just the janitor, clean up messes, quite a lot of messes. Yeah.
And then Otto.
Yes.
Ooh, got it right.
Otto. You did get it right. Otto Adams. I drive our A90 Supra, amongst other things here. So I'm a tech, full-time tech, and drive our A90 Supra. Drive our 18-wheeler.
CDL license.
Yes, Class A. Yeah. And a lot more. Simple engines.
So you drive the home of the fastest Supras.
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah.
How's that
Driven some
feeling?
MK4s too. They're pretty nice. But yeah, overall, gets that blood pressure going. It's nice.
How's the feeling though? Like, you're holding the world record right now, right?
No, I am number 2. Mike Body's number 1 as of now. But that feeling it's really nice. But when let's say define nice. So obviously when you take off, my best 60 foot was 119. It's a lot of pressure, a lot of concentration. The car wants to move, so you got to fight it. But at the same time, like I got the suspension pretty dialed, so it's still a lot of pressure, a lot of focus. I'm manually shifting, so and then after like the 330, it's things kind of calm down. But then on the back half, it starts to move.
Get rowdy.
So it gets rowdy for sure. But it's just a lot of focus, So it's just training and, you feel that mile an hour.
Yeah.
When you feel that boost kick in. So
It blows hard.
It blows hard.
You do a lot of the wrench work too, right?
Yeah,
On the
yeah,
A90.
absolutely. So yeah,
You're gonna be eating pizza at 2 a.m. still wrenching.
yeah, plenty. Yeah, it comes with the territory,
Oh, yeah.
So, especially when you're trying to be number 1. You got to do what you got to do what you got to do.
Y'all came out in the A90 game swinging pretty hard from the get go, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I watched
Absolutely.
a podcast I think that Body was on, and he was talking about how he wanted to be the fastest Supra, and he said out of nowhere, Titan comes out here and was just started killing it from the get-go, and so he's just been kind of chasing back and forth with you guys for quite a while now.
Yeah, I think it's been that way. Like Body and I, like there's a few other players, but mainly Body and I, we go back and toe to
Y'all go
toe.
hard.
So we definitely go hard.
Yep. Yeah, it's been an interesting. It's good to have competition. Everybody keeps rising up, and we got into the Supra early with the Mark V platform, and it's kept growing and growing, and the community has kept growing and growing, and that's everybody's just challenging each other and pushing, and so Body has constantly kept, the minute we do something, he's wanting to do more. And that just keeps us pushing. And, right now it's a little slow time with it being so hot in June, July, August, but everybody's preparing for Florida 2K, those events later in the year. So.
And he's based more up north, isn't he?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's got a little better air to kind of get tested with.
Oh yeah, for
Here,
sure.
it's swampy here.
He's got better air right now, but we have better tracks down here most of the time. So it gets real interesting. So when we get into later in the year, January, February, March, this is the place to be. But honestly, a lot of times, a lot of the records just get set right at the big events or right after the big events.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess in all the testing and everything there.
Yeah.
Yeah. The DA here, I've noticed in Texas, I made the wise idea to go hit the Hail Mary event. It's positive 800 DA. It was negative 2,500 in Houston. Do y'all get the same kind of air down here at times, or?
It's usually not phenomenal. The best will sometimes be Maryland, let's say import versus domestic. The DA, it's so cold. The DA is phenomenal there, but you can make a lot of power there, but also if it's sometimes too cold, the track can get too cold. Getting the right traction is important. On a platform like the Mark V, you got to be careful because you could end up breaking discs, breaking transmissions. We're still dealing with a lot of factory level components. So you kind of want almost a track that is good, but not so good that it's going to end up breaking everything.
Little slip, little forgiveness.
But overall, you kind of, if you're trying to break records or swing for a Hail Mary, you got to wait a few months. You got a short window, because obviously Florida, it's swampy. It sucks, but it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do.
What's all done to it?
It has a 3.2 stroker, pure drivetrain solutions, trans, race converter. We have our head package. It's a port polish head, Kelfer cams.
Freya valve train.
Yeah, Freya valve
2 port, 6
train.
port.
I wasn't trying to give it all the way.
CSF.
CSF cooling package, the full package. Has an ice box, DSS drive shaft. It has
all of CSF's coolers.
Yep. Shout out to CSF.
Our Titan axles.
Yep. We have, I don't know, the list goes on.
It's tuned on Ecutech.
A 15-inch rear conversion, but we're running 17s right now. We have nitrous on it, direct port. We have, we're running a fuel tech as a standalone just for monitoring other things. So that's pretty cool. Like that.
Data acquisition.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was like, what is the fuel tech control?
Not many people have seen the data on EGTs, amongst other things. We have a lot of things, but that just comes from years of experience with, this company. So it was great. But let's see. There's ECU tech, like you said. It's got an ice box.
It's 6 port head, not 2 port.
Yeah,
It's a 6 port.
right?
So the car originally was
originally 2 port, and then I was doing some stuff upstairs, and I was like, this looks like it can work. And so I measured all the chains and stuff, and then placed it on there, put it on there, and then
I think we were the first to do
we
a
were the
conversion.
first.
Yeah.
So when we went out to MITN, yeah, that was the first time running it out there. And I mean, it worked well. And not a lot of people realized that we did it, you know, because, you know, we just didn't
You have to tell
tell
everything.
everybody. But, you know, at that point, like there was no trans control, and all I was doing was just, you know, trans was slipping and literally turned down the power the entire race. Kind of sucked, but at the same time, the head conversion worked, you know? So,
It was a pretty moderate gain between the two, or
yeah, for sure, for sure.
With the smaller turbos, yeah. I mean, as you keep getting into the bigger turbo and the bigger turbo, you know,
Yeah.
you're going to see a bigger gain. I think also reliability, you're going to get less back pressure with a six port. So, you know, you don't necessarily see it on the dyno, but you'll see it on
at the track
at the,
over
the track,
right.
and
Yeah.
you'll see it with the reliability. You won't hurt as many parts.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that you know you can make all you want on the dyno, but it's not
Yeah.
always going to work the same once you actually put it in real life.
Yeah, exactly.
So once we started dealing with a lot of heavier cars, we would notice that, and I kind of just shied away from the dyno for the race stuff. But you guys do a lot of R&D, you know, for your customer line, right? So
Yeah.
you kind of, I guess, when y'all are building that car, you kind of think both ways.
Yeah, that's kind of like the reason why it's still full weight. You know, it has full interior basically. So, you know, it's like everything, like you said, everything we do to the car, we have the customer in mind. So, I mean, if we wanted to build like an actual race car,
Oh, we've seen that.
yeah, so that it'll be completely different. But at the same time, like for a full weight car, you know, sitting in the number 2 spot as of now, I feel pretty good about it, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So I seen on Instagram, right? You said home of the 2JZ, right? And like 16 years ago, y'all were hitting like 8s in it, going 8s in, I think it was like a silver Supra. And if you can give us like a more in-depth explanation of why do y'all feel like you're the home of the 2JZ?
I mean, we started with the 2JZ. I mean, very early. There was people who were doing it before us. You know, like the Bullish Racing guys, Paisley. You know, Christian Rado. You know, had a Supra, Street Supra. Vinny 10. So I mean, there's been a lot of people who were doing the 2JZ before we came along. But you know, from I think a standpoint of like, hey, this is the home. This is where all the parts are. This is where a ton of the parts come from. Even, you know, today a lot of them were developed. You know, those guys really started the ball rolling. And like we said, like with Mike Body, you know, these guys keep challenging us back then when we were getting started. You know, to pass them, pass their ETs. You know, beat them at races. You know, and so as that. You know, what's cool is with the 2JZ and the B58, the Supra guys there's a lot of camaraderie, but there's also a lot of competition. So as we kept pushing each other, we also worked together. You know, this is one of the things that a lot of other car makes. A lot of the teams don't work together, you know, so sometimes let's just say you have a part that needs to be made. Well, not everybody will buy it from the one guy. So then the part never ends up getting made that you need. You know, where like with the Supra guys, we're all like, okay, we all need this one part. Let's buy it from one place. So then these parts can exist. Because, you know, in the end of the day, so not everybody can spend the money to R&D just one item. But if you can accrue building like 10 of them, then it makes sense for a business to make some of these parts for us. So over the years, you know, we've just developed so many parts and keep so many parts in stock. And we just, you know, became... you know, one of the leaders in that game. And if you see like a lot of the trophies here behind us, they're all from the two, you know, one with the 2JZ. You know, I mean, we started out early with the NHRA Sport Compact days. We ran the 2JZ. We looked at other platforms because I honestly felt the 2JZ, these other guys, we're never going to have a competitive edge, and we need to find another engine that's better. And after a while, just developing the 2JZ, working with turbo manufacturers like Precision Turbo, Nitrous Express, you know, just developing the platform, you know, engine wise, it just slowly became the dominant motor for our series.
But you guys started that before the 2J was really known to be a good
Before
motor.
Fast and Furious. Yeah.
Right. Because I remember you guys had kind of started before when the 2JZ, I guess, when it was still new.
Yeah.
You know, people kind of thought it was okay, but it wasn't. They definitely didn't think of what it is now.
Right.
And you guys kind of had a little more faith in it from the jump, or back and forth.
It was, I mean, initially, like early on in the days, I mean, the 2JZ guys were an underdog, right? The V8 guys, if you had a LS Camaro or an LT Camaro, you know, you were
Right.
there. You would be like, nah, the 6-cylinder, no way. This thing can't keep up. And over time, just putting bigger turbos on it, adding boost to it, you know, the platform never was meant to make the power that it does now. But what happens is you break something and you R&D it and you fix it. And, you know, the Supra guys, like I said, a lot of us work together. And so over the years, we kept finding solution after solution after solution. And you turn around and you're like, oh, these guys are all hate each other in their community. And so they've lost ground.
Yeah, that's a big thing I've noticed recently, and we were actually talking about this before.
Yeah.
You know, that I'm just stepping into the BMW and that platform, and just the difference between how the tuners treat each other and how the people in the community treat each other. It's totally different. GM, we'll go to a race and we'll set up and we'll know these people and these people and these people, but none of us really talk. Everything's, you know, I got my thing going on, you got yours. But I'll go to these races in Puerto Rico and everybody's together. Everybody's at the same tent. Everybody eats together. Everybody races together. You know, and I've come out to events in Texas and it's the same way. It seems like the Supra people and the BMW people, they all kind of work with each other.
Yeah.
And I mean, it definitely explains why that platform has advanced as much as it has.
That's what I was about to say, you know, and it's a good feeling knowing that, like, if you're racing and these other teams you're pretty cool with them, you work together. If they have a spare part, they wouldn't think twice to give it to you, right, even if you're in eliminations, you know? I think that's pretty cool. But at the end of the day, it is racing. So if you know, somebody says no because, like, you know, he might have a hurt cylinder or something, then it is what it is, you know? But overall, like, everybody works together. Everybody's pretty fun. And, you know, everybody's just there to actually go racing. And for the most part, nobody sandbags, play games. Well, some people do. Not going to say no names.
I was going to say, I don't know about that.
But like me personally, I want to race. When I pull up to the line, I don't want to play no games. I want to beat you. I want to beat you.
Damn.
Because, like, why? I mean, I don't want to beat somebody, like, because I need an edge. Like, I want to race heads up. We're grown.
He wants you to sell your car.
Exactly. So, I mean, but that's just me, you know? Everybody's different, so.
Yeah, that's my wife. I'm like, you going to let me win? She goes, you want to get a divorce? I'm like, bro, let me get the hit, something. Yeah. Some people are different.
Yeah.
I'm too nice.
So what you're saying is, like, in GM world, they gatekeep a lot.
Oh,
they
everything.
work together.
Everything.
Oh, yeah.
And the tuners are like that too, which,
that's
for the most part. So, you know, when we were first starting out, you know, everybody, they didn't want to give you any advantage. They didn't want to help, anything like that. But once you start beating them all, they're like, oh man, we want to work together. I'm like, oh, that's convenient. But on that podcast that Body had done, that was one of the big things he touched on, was even when he first started into this, that everybody was willing to help him. And that's not a thing in the GM world, 100% not. In the Ford world, it's way worse.
Oh, yeah.
So to hear that, I was like, man, that's really cool. And I've had the pleasure of experiencing that myself.
Yeah.
When I expressed interest into it, people reached out. They were here. How can we help you? And I'm like, this is so weird to me because I'm so used to having to be secretive on everything. And I'm big on helping everybody. We work with everybody. But it shows how why this community is able to do what it does with what you have.
That starts with, you have to set the culture, right? And so, you know, when Body came in, you know, we actually worked on his car here, you know, when he was getting started, got him a bunch of parts, and he was always motivated. and always into it. You know, the Malls who race with us, you know, same thing. They've come from a different racing background and they wanted to get into this, and so we would help them. And you know, they race in the same class, and so it starts with the culture. And after a while, you know, we're willing to talk to everybody and help everybody. And we keep some of our own stuff that we're working on. We're not going to tell everybody until it's ready.
Some secrets.
But you know, we sell also everything that we have in the car. Everything in that car you can purchase from here.
Which goes back to the R&D, and then, you know, that's something I've always respected and something I've always tried to do. Any car that we build, if you ask me about that car, here's the parts list.
Yep.
And it will do the same. And that's something that you guys do,
Yep.
which is, for a big company like this, that's not normal.
But the thing is, like, okay, so that builds the culture. So, like, if you got a couple people who, you know, don't like it and want to be, you know, kind of mean, let's just say, you know, well, if everybody else is hanging out and getting along, and there's 2 or 3 people over there, they're gonna come around because they're gonna be like, hey, you know, I want to be a part of this too, right? Like, I don't want to be like just sitting over here in the corner and all these guys are having fun over here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, you know, we invite everybody over. We communicate with everybody, and you know, if they want to be, you know, buying parts from us or not, but if they want to be a part of the Supra community, we try to, you know, let them have fun, you know, because in the end of the day, like, even for our business in Sport Compact, these guys could go to a GM platform or Ford platform, but even worse, they may just say, you know what, all these car guys suck. Like, let me go do side-by-sides, or let me go do, you know, power sports, or, you know, jet ski or whatever. So for us, it's better that they want to stay in Sport Compact. And obviously, if they start a Supra, we want them to be welcome to come here, and we want them to be inquisitive and learn about their platform.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's better for us as well, just in general, because, like, obviously when the class first started, it wasn't that many. So at least us, we're more inclined to help people to help fill the class. You know what I mean? So you go more rounds, and you know, it just helps everyone.
Right.
So,
And then before you know it, you have a class that's got, you know, people who can't even buy entries for. It's full, you know, it's packed out, and that's what we want for any of the Supra classes we race in, right? You know, we don't want our class to be like, okay, it got eliminated. We want manufacturers to be like, I want to sponsor the Supra class. You know, and then they'll raise payouts. Say, hey, people are looking at the Supra class.
And you can see that progression through the Texas 2K stuff.
Yep.
When the
Absolutely,
A90s first
yeah.
came, that class was really small the first year. By small, I think it was like 15 cars maybe.
maybe.
And then the next year, what was it, 3 different classes or 4 different A90 classes? And I was like, well, that was a big jump. And the next year, it was even bigger. I'm like, man, this platform's really going somewhere.
Yeah.
So,
And now it's expanding, you know, with the S58, the B58, S58. There's going to be some fun rivalries there because, you know,
the fancy boys.
yeah, a lot of people are going to be putting this together. So,
Cadillac guy. We like them fancy.
So you mentioned right now that you were building the 2JZ, trying to look for another engine that was better.
Yep.
Which is that?
The 1FZ. So we actually did a lot of development on the 1FZ. Nobody really even knows that we did a ton of that. Because that engine comes, I believe, as a 4.5 liter. And at the time, NHRA restricted your engine size to 3.5 liter. So we actually de-stroked the 4.5 liter to a 3.5 liter, which we felt would be a huge advantage because it was a big bore, and we could run a ton of RPM with it, and pour obviously a ton of boost to it. And that was the plan. And by the time we got done with it to the point where it could go in a car, we already had 2 pro imports with both running 2JZs, and we were winning quite a few of the races. So it made no sense to convert everything over to the 1FZ to basically just keep winning. So we stuck with the 2JZ at the time. The 1F, I mean, if you ever see it, it's much bigger, it's a lot longer, and it's a lot heavier. So there are some if you're making power for power equal, there are some downsides, which is obviously it's just bulkier and heavier.
Was it still an aluminum or?
It's a cast iron block.
Okay, so
that came here in the U.S. in a Land Cruiser.
Damn.
weird. It's weird that you're like, hey, grab that Land Cruiser motor and shove it in my Supra.
They were really cheap. They're really cheap. We were buying them for like $200 or $300 a piece, so I had a ton of them.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got some guy up in Pennsylvania, the straight 5s and straight 6s, you know, the ones in the Trailblazers that everybody
Yep.
was like, that's
Yep.
trash.
It was very
saw
similar.
that.
And
Yeah.
this dude's grabbing that thing and sticking it in these old cars, and he is flying with that thing.
So
I
the
think
one-
7-800 stock motor, which I'm scared those things make a 200, they're going to come apart.
So the 1FZ was very similar. Actually, it came out before that Trailblazer motor,
Well,
and
that
it was
his
very
thing,
similar.
was he related them.
Yeah, it was very similar.
I was just like, the mindset you have to think, you know what, I want that terrible motor that came out of that Trailblazer.
Yeah.
I'm going to shove a bunch of boost to it.
Yeah,
But you
when-
guys were doing that.
When I
back-
saw like he had
back
pistons
in
and
the
rods
day.
in there, I turned my head like, wait, what? Like that head flows like, you know,
Yeah.
flows like garbage.
So where does y'all's story actually begin? Not to age you or anything.
So, I mean, everybody thinks, you know, we just got into this business and that we're like this big corporate entity, but it's the absolute opposite of that. I mean, you can ask any of the employees, you know, I mean, our goal here is to have fun. So I actually started street racing, and you know, like I was horrible. Absolutely horrible. You know, I mean, this is the first manual car I'd ever driven, and I find myself at some point just like getting invited to street races because I have a Supra, and okay, so I go and I start racing, and I'm like, okay, this is great, but I don't know anything about launching it, so I'm trying to leaving like a stoplight, like, you know, 1,500, 2,000 RPM, and of course I'm getting smoked, and before you know it, I get caught up in it. I'm pretty competitive. So I knew my driving, it would take a while to come around, but that didn't mean I couldn't work on it and keep making more horsepower and hope that, you know,
Come around
the
on the big side.
horsepower
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
overcome the skill level. So, you know, like Dominic Toretto told,
soon.
told Brian, you know, he was messing up his shifts and doing all that. Yeah, that was me at the time. So I was messing everything up, but I just kept working on making more and more horsepower. And I was like a fish in water with making more and more horsepower. And before you know it, you know, I kept learning more and more about driving. And you know, then it wasn't the internet, and like the communications with people wasn't where it was. So everybody had an opinion, but nobody really knew what they were doing. So if you asked 4 people about tire pressures on a Mickey Thompson radial, you'll get anywhere from 38 PSI to 18 PSI at the drag strip. So there was like most people, the smart ones would be like, we have no idea. You just need to keep trying it and keep lowering it until it kind of works for you. And I'm like, well, that's great. So, you know, the whole process of building a platform, you know, even just a normal street car to be fast, there was no like perfect recipe, and there's not that many people you could call and be like, what do I need to do with as simple things as tire pressure?
But what
Yeah.
year was all this?
This is early, late 90s.
I figured
late 90s.
I remember. I thought it was late 90s, but I was like, "Is he going to admit that?"
late 90s. So like, I got the Supra in 97. We didn't start Titan until really around November 99. So that just happened by a fluke. But so somewhere between getting the Supra in 97 and 99 is like, there was a complete obsession for multiple years of like constantly trying to make, you know, the car faster and faster and faster and win.
'Cause there wasn't even forums or forums.
There was-
started in like the.
Oh, you're trying to date me big time, huh?
No, I'm just-
You're
I'm
like,
just trying to
what?
think,
Nero, I know
because-
there was no Facebook. Was there even forums back
well,
then?
we knew there wasn't Facebook.
There was actually email lists.
Maybe
there was email lists.
that's when we were all worried.
Email lists in the late-
but
in
you
the
know,
late
Y2K.
Oh,
I know.
2000?
Now I'm dating
email
myself.
list in the late in the late 90s. There was email lists, so you literally was on a list that just when you reply,
chains.
emailed everybody. So there was like 200 people on this email list.
But that was the crazy thing is that's what I think. I think that some people aren't capturing is that this all started when nobody could talk to anybody. You know, cell phones were still pretty new. You're still rocking your Nokia with your little
Yep.
light up battery
Yeah.
pack and all that. Yeah, so there was no conglomeration of people to test this. There was no CNC machines. There's all this
that wasn't
stuff.
a
Like,
thing.
there was none of this.
Yep. And all the parts came from Japan. You know, there's not really any American manufacturers. You know, the Greddy, HKS, Blitz, Apex Eye, those were like your brands that you stuck to if you had a Japanese, you know, import.
Were y'all using
the T71 mod?
Were y'all using the FMUs
turbo?
and the Apex and Neos?
VPC, GCC,
Jeez.
Super AFC. Yep.
So that's a lot of things that I think even people that watch this podcast,
Profect B.
They don't know how hard we had it, and I came later than that. So I definitely respect where
I can tell you
they
how
had forums when I started.
I can tell you how all that stuff worked, and we would build this combination of pretty much 5 piggyback type boxes, and yeah,
2
and get it
FMUs
to work.
blocking that pressure up so you can have a little more pressure. It's just the stuff that they accomplished with, I mean, caveman tools, basically.
Yeah.
You know, tricking sensors and
you
stuff
just
like
call them
that. It's
caveman.
wild.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, you call
I
me
mean, I'm a caveman too. I'm with you. I'm maybe 4 or 5 years behind, but it ain't far.
This is before the movie, right? Before Fast
Oh,
and
yeah.
Furious.
Yeah. When Fast and
Yeah,
Furious come out,
way
they were
before
already
that.
starting to kill
Yeah.
it.
Damn.
He's getting there. He's
Yeah,
getting
yeah.
there. Keep
It's
feeling
it's
it.
going. So I mean, so we started there, but yeah, we were doing, you know, all those little piggyback tricks. You know, I mean, what's awesome is, you know, you were still using stock ECU. You know, you weren't using a standalone. And the cars did work, but it did take. That's why it took a lot of trial and error and knowledge, you know, to figure some of it out. Because I mean, honestly, even the VPC had so many different variations, but they all kind of did very similar things. Like each chip, it was like, oh, you got this turbo, but it doesn't really do that much difference. You didn't see any changes on your air fuel ratio. You know, so your goal was kind of just tricking it to run good, and you know, biggest key was probably running good fuel, changing your spark plugs,
And prayers.
and just making laps.
Lots of
Yeah.
prayers.
Hopes and dreams.
There wasn't chip burning yet. Was that a thing? I only know from the
there
GM
was-
I
stuff.
don't know. That was before my
So
time.
So the VPCs did have chips that you would swap, and I think the Hondas were starting to do some of the
Honda's had the emulators and
The chips, yeah.
the ostrich and all that stuff,
Yeah.
like moats. I remember that stuff. That stuff was kind of cool.
Yep.
Like a little digital chip that can just you
Yeah.
can constantly live update.
Yeah.
All right, I'm definitely feeling old here. But I don't know the super side, so that's why I'm kind of
Yeah.
you know
The Super
did you
side
guys
is
have
mainly
it the same, or-
it was mainly once you put a VPC in there, you know, you were pretty close, and then you just had to, you know, like I said, use good fuel, single turbo, you know,
and they were already
intercooler.
pretty set up for a boost for the factory, so I guess
Yep.
that might have made it a little
Yeah.
easier.
That definitely helped.
where we were like, we're not going to boost it because we don't know what that's going to do.
Yeah. Yep.
So past the street racing, make more power.
Past the street racing. Yeah, once I started making more and more power, you know, the car probably was making, you know, in the 400s with stock turbos. Then I went to HKS twin turbo 2835 setup. And the car was making a bit over 600 to the wheel, which was big numbers back then. And basically, even when I had the stock turbos, I was doing really well. I was winning a lot of races, started going to the drag strip. But then when I had the big twins, I was winning a lot.
Right.
You know, whether I could drive worth a shit or not, I was winning a lot.
Everybody got excited at the beginning, and
Yep.
he's like Otto is now. Too soon, Junior.
You said it right. Auto, yeah.
I said it right this time.
Yeah.
You did.
I still think it's a deal. But,
It
so
is
where did
what
y'all
it
go
is.
from there? From the street scene?
From the street scene, so our Copper Supra, which is the original Supra, let's fast forward, I think, to about 2000, 2001. You know, we had the shop. We moved into our from our parents' house, which we were running this business, which was a side business, and we were just selling parts, and we were initially just shipping stuff all over. And, you know, we had the email list, and we would I was always participating on that list, and people would ask questions like, hey, what should I do? What's my setup? Blah, blah, blah. How do I, you know, make more power? So they'd ask me all the time, you know, if I sold parts, and I was like, no, I'll just help you out, but I tell you where to get it from, but I didn't do it. And then so when I started selling parts, it was pretty easy transition, surprisingly. and I'm sending parts to people all over the country. But since I knew the platform and was so hands-on with it, what I sold worked. Like it did what I was supposed to do because I've tried all the different combinations,
You did the R&D
different
ahead of
stuff.
time.
Yeah.
And, once they bought it, they were like, dude, this works. This guy was honest. It was legitimate. He shipped it to me. So they obviously keep coming back for more and more. You know how it is, right? You can't get enough.
They need that sauce.
Yeah. So, it took off. So then we ended up moving into our shop, I think in 2000, which not this shop, but the old one. And it was just individual bays. And so we'd rented 2 bays. And then by the time we actually could get like all of our stuff from our parents' house in there, we had to actually rent a 3rd bay. And, business started. And so I was already in the process of building the Supra, and it kind of had taken a back burner. But then we started racing some of our friends' cars. We had customers that we were racing, and we were starting to go to like more and more Supra events. So we were like, let's fire it up. Let's get this car built. And we were building it for NHRA Sport Compact. So I followed pretty much every little page in the book. I had it almost memorized for the rule book because I wanted to build a dead rule book legal car that would go out there and win, because the last thing I want to do is win and then get, protested. So we built a car. I don't even think anybody knew about it. And we showed up, we got it done right in time for like the first race. And we didn't even know if we'd make it for the first season opener, which happened to be in Gainesville. So at least it was close to us. Yeah. And that's kind of where that started. And then we have a poster, actually. That's what the car used to look like.
Nice.
Right there. The Turbo magazine. So we came to the first race, and we were just, a bunch of guys just hanging out, and went, and we didn't win that race. We actually set the national record there. We were number 1 qualifier. We lost in the finals, but we did walk away being the points leader. And from there, we won a lot more of those races, and we won the championship that year. So our goal was from the beginning to win the championship. I thought as well as the Supra went the first race, that this would be easy. And let me tell you, that Supra did great the first race. We were just sitting back, just running around after round, filling up the fuel. It was air-to-air intercooler, so you didn't really do anything but fill up the fuel and just check it out. Well, yeah, the second race, everything broke.
Damn.
So we were starting to learn, hey, there's a longevity of parts and having spare parts and so forth. And, so we were chasing our tail around. I think we were Atco, New Jersey.
Okay, yeah.
And I think we were chasing our tail around, looking for parts, borrowing parts from everybody up there to get it, to make the race. And then we started, getting some of our spares, and we went on to all the rest of the races. So,
yeah, Atco claims to be the home of where the race started. I get told that all the time. Yeah, Atco is where the real race started.
Why is that?
I don't know. That's what they say. He might know.
I don't know. I'm not that old.
Yeah, bro.
I've never heard that saying.
How often
You
go
must
up
have
there?
they don't even race up there anymore.
That's what I said.
They
like street outlaws. It all started here. I'm like, I think that started in Oklahoma, bud. Like, no, the real street cars are here. So I didn't know if that went back. Then.
Yeah.
No, that predates me. That's your generation.
So 3 bays. Fast and Furious is on loop in the bays.
It came out. I'm trying to remember if it came out in 2002, maybe.
I don't remember.
It came out somewhere.
I watched on a loop too.
We were in the shop at the time. Yeah, when it came out, then obviously that glamorized everything that we did.
Oh yeah, because the hero car was the Supra.
Yep,
Yeah.
and so
That's kind of like when I got into them.
So the market, the business kept just going up, and we had already built a good client base, and so a lot of people were getting Supras and starting to learn that the Supra was a great mod platform car, and we just you just kept building it, and just like the Mark V, you find all the weaknesses and you figure out a way to fix it, and you keep pushing and pushing. So
what was your background before the Supra and the?
So I've got somewhat of an IT background, so I'm a computer geek, right? Now that's, I guess, a common. I mean, everybody's on the computer and phone all day long. But so I had an IT background, and Titan was never, in motorsports was not a business I wanted to be in. I wanted to do it as a hobby. So my goal was always to go get a job, 9 to 5, have my vacation time, go racing in the weekends. So take my Friday off, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, go racing and travel around to all the events in Florida or all the events that I could go to. So I just wanted to build a car. So, the business started, really it's just a pure hobby. I was like, okay, one of my friends was like, just do this, help me out, work with him. And so I was running kind of his online store, and it rolled. That's how it rolled into Titan. All I wanted to do was pay for race gas, pay for parts. I was like, I'll do this in the evening. I mean, I was already on all of these email lists, and so I was a part of it. I was already doing all of it. So just talking to people and just putting up some orders here and there was not a big deal. I didn't think it would turn into the monster that it kind of it's turned into, and literally the first few months stuff started selling. I'm like, man, this is really busy. I'm working a lot at this, and I'm still in college at the time, and I was just finishing up. It was the last semester, and so this was taking up a ton of time. So I was going to still go get a job because Titan wasn't making a lot of money. It was making good side money to be able to keep funding
The race car.
a race car, yeah, which was the only thing I wanted to pay for and do at the time. And summer comes along, I go, you know what, man, I'm kind of burnt on school and I don't want to get a job just yet. I said, Titan's doing pretty good. Let me just sit back and do that. I'll make some money through summer and I'll get a job in fall. And then, Titan's going to slow down. I figured it was summer months. And back then, a lot of these big events were in the summer. A lot of the Nopi events were in summer. So it was always a busy time. So I was like, it's going to slow down. This is a fluke. And it just kept going and going and going. And so fall comes and I'm like, I'm not getting a job. I'm like already so busy. This is like almost 2 full-time jobs. Just buying and selling parts and shipping them. And, it wasn't as easy to get parts at the time because all the stuff came from Japan. So I'm dealing with, Grady, HKS, Blitz, and we got to wait 60 days for stuff to come in.
Oh, geez.
And just keeping track of it, right? And everything was on paper. So you're taking orders, you're charging them, but you're keeping track of the order and waiting sometimes 60 days for something to come in before you ship it.
So there was no overnight parts from Japan.
There was very, very few.
Fake movie.
You have to pay extra, man. You have to pay extra for that.
You got to clear customs. Customs takes a day.
Was there more than one copper car, or it's always been the same?
There's been a lot of imitators. There's been a lot of imitators, a lot of fakes, but there's one real one, and
I feel like
that's sitting in the shop back there.
I feel like I've been to an event where I've seen 2 of them at one time.
You've been to an event. There's been one.
That did happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
Which one
just had to
though?
be the faster one.
Which one won though?
Yeah.
Which one's
Real one.
which one's got the Titan stickers down the side?
I've been following for a long time.
I know.
Yeah.
I know you know.
But I remember seeing that, and I was like, man, maybe they had.
That's
2
one of the
different
funny things
chassis
we don't give the color code out or the process of how to paint that specific color, which it's actually kind of a pain. So even when we want to repaint a car, it's a pain. So we don't give it out. So you'll see a lot of people try to copy it, but they'll look slightly different. That is one of the few things we were like won't share because like too many people try to literally build an exact copy. And we've even had a streetcar copy, a streetcar version, which actually Wes, who's here, built I think around 2007, 2008, and that car's still floating around. We've actually done some service work on it, but even in the Middle East, there's a exact replica of it. Everything, cam gears, the wheels, every single part, it looks exact same, and the car looks fantastic, and it's in the Middle East.
Well, hopefully you designed it, so you got to think it looks good.
Yeah.
So when's the Mark V going copper?
I don't know. I mean,
When
right
it gets
now,
number 1?
it's been number 1 before.
I know,
That's a
but-
big step.
We got to have something to push them.
I like it. I actually like the white. You don't like the white?
I do.
Oh,
I
see.
do.
I did.
I do.
It had to
Clean.
grow on me.
I think I like
I'll
the-
say
I think I
that,
like the
but
red
at
eye
the same
more.
time, it's like,
The little light.
yeah, that was
I thought I was like, at first I saw it, I was like, meh. And then I see it in the races, and I'm like,
exactly.
pretty
It
sick.
stands out.
Yeah.
that was an idea Ryan and I came up
Yep.
with.
We got a few other little things we're gonna put on there. Give it maybe a little throwback to the Mark IV days.
I just thought,
Maybe we'll bring that
Yeah.
out at Florida TK
that
or
car was
Texas
so
TK.
iconic, the copper car.
Yeah,
That's literally one of the only cars I remember from back in the day that lasted. I mean, y'all ran that thing for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how many years.
Up
He doesn't
until
want to say, but
a year ago, yeah.
yeah.
We were running it, yeah.
But what's the progression on that car? So you started in the Sport Compact.
Yeah, we started with Sport Compact, so we raced NHRA, and then Nopi added a street tire class for it. So that's, let's see, 2001, 2. So I think we did that through maybe 2008-ish. And then I want to say the car probably got parked for a little bit because we were doing ADRL. So we were doing a lot of the pro import, like the pro mod style chassis car races. So when NHRA Sport Compact closed and then Nopi closed their race series, we went to ADRL. So I don't think we raced the copper car hardly at all. We may have done it. We probably did some Texas 2K events, but there was probably only like that and import versus domestic. Mm-hmm. There weren't too many homes for it in its configuration with like IRS and it being still like a pro street car. We didn't want to cut it up and make it like a 3/4 car because we always wanted it to be a street car. Mm-hmm. And just like the Mark V, I mean the Mark V still has AC. It's a pure street car. It's a pure street car, and so we've always tried to stay with that, and that's why we never hardly have done too many like 3/4 chassis cars because I was like we didn't want to cut up a perfectly good street car, so that's why we've done either like a pro mod or street car. So we probably did some Texas 2K import versus domestic.
Invitational? Y'all ever run the Invitational?
No, we never ran the
quick 30s.
The mile.
That too.
The mile.
But
that one.
The quick 30 they used to do at Houston.
No.
Okay.
No, we never did that one.
I didn't know if I remember it from there or not.
So I think there's some races like that scattered out probably the like let's call it 2010 to 2015 range. We did build Canoe's car, mm-hmm. which got done I want to say in like 2010 or 2011. The white Supra that was the first to go in the 5s. So we did have a lot of focus on that. And when we started backing out of ADRL, we were doing canoe stuff. So that was that transition with a lot of our motorsports program. Somewhere along the way, we decided, let's build that car so we can race a lot more places. And we looked at, with our background with ADRL, we started looking outside the box of just Sport Compact. And I think X275 started to show a lot of promise and was big and up and coming, and it was a perfect platform for the Supra and 2JZ. Right. So we talked to John Sears, and he was willing to make rules that allowed us to fit in there, and so that's when the most cutting of that car has probably ever happened. So we redid the cage. I think we redid the whole car. We redid the cage. We redid the front nose. Went to the one-piece nose, and we ladder barred it. Solid axle, and we repainted the whole car, so it was like a whole new build.
Yeah,
that was probably one of the biggest transitions is from like that IRS street car style, and that the car used to be kind of like this one right here behind us, to like a race car, that's still a production platform.
But not to back up too far, for all the people that wanted to give me shit, how did he classify that car as a street car?
Yeah, so I was going to ask.
Does it have AC? Right?
Yep.
All those guys, my car didn't come with AC. Okay, we're not talking about your clunker. What we're talking about is a car that was a nice car that had AC. Once you pull that AC out, whether you used it or not, I don't care. So it's not a street car anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, you said a drag race car and street car. What is your definition of a street car?
That's a tough one.
I mean, it depends. I mean, if you're talking about a street car in the reference of you're trying to fit into a rule book for a race, it's totally different. And in that category, it's really, maybe you wouldn't even call it a street car. You call it a production car, right? So it's a car that was produced by a manufacturer with a VIN number, and you go take it to a big national race. It's still just that's what it started as. But I mean, it may not even have the same engine. Obviously it's not the same displacement. It probably doesn't have AC. It may not even have power steering. It's got Lexan windows. So yeah, those cars are still called street cars for the classification of the race sanctioning body and their rules, but you ain't driving it on the street. Let's be honest.
Yeah, you ain't taking it
You're
to
not,
Chick-fil-A.
you're not driving it to work every day.
We're talking about the people that are like, 15, 1600 horsepower in their Fox body, and they're like, I drive that to work. No, you don't. Quit capping.
No,
you
no,
don't.
you don't drive
Like,
it to
you
work.
might drive it to work to take a picture, or you get the guys
Yeah.
that are like videoing street car cruising down the road.
Yeah.
Yep.
You had to film that, which means it's
Yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like if you had to make a video to prove that your car's a street car, chances are it's not.
But it's fun, right? It keeps it interesting. It keeps it fun. I mean,
It's fun till it gets overboard.
yeah. You can do it. I mean, but let's be honest. Even like Brett LaSala. He's driven the car to a bunch of races and gone everywhere. But
But to call that a street car is just
he's not driving that car to work every day.
That's no street car.
Right? I mean,
Well,
it's
the
just a
other
low
thing-
6-second
the
car.
new thing that gets me is the whole, it's a stock bottom end. I'm like, careful. It's got rods and pistons. Probably not stock bottom end, right? Well, the block stock. Come on, guys. let's be real here.
Well, I mean,
I feel the
everybody's got
same way
fake
about
records.
micro records.
Yeah, everybody's got fake records, micro records.
Can't call them
macro
fake records. People
records,
get
whatever.
very, very upset about that.
Listen, the fastest blue
is
car
what
on
it is.
Tuesday. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
You can have it. You can take that record.
But like the block sleeved, right? They're like fastest OE block. I'm like, bro, how many words you want to cut down before you just say it's a full built motor. It's everything. I'd get it if it's not sleeved on certain motors, but like once you sleeved it, it's not really a stock block anymore.
Yeah.
It's surely not an OEM
not.
block. It didn't come like
Absolutely not.
No.
that. So that's kind of where I'm like.
Even the
drawing
drag and
line.
drive events they do, like the street car?
Drag and drive is just a whole new world of gangsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like anything that runs
Absolutely.
sixes and tows a trailer.
Trails.
You're
Yeah.
a gangster. I got nothing for you. I got nothing but respect for those
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
The stuff
It's a
I've
lot
seen
of
them
work.
go through, the wrench work they put in.
Yeah, on the side
that
of the
is
road.
a rare human being.
And the way you got to build the car from the beginning. The suspension it's got to. They're trying to make it light, but they got to make it strong enough where it doesn't break on the side of the road when it hits a pothole.
Yep.
And you got to have enough adjustment in your suspension. There's just
Yep.
there's so much because the people just don't. People don't realize what's in those cars. And like he said, people are doing this stuff on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen people adjusting their valves at a gas station just
Yeah.
to get to the next race. And I'm like, what is the deal? It's like, oh, elevation change. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Like elevation change at this track. I gotta change it up a little bit. This stuff that they're doing is just wild.
And a lot of times you don't even see that,
Yeah.
So,
Until you've
I mean-
actually followed one.
I mean,
It's a whole new. It's a
Yeah.
whole new level of respect. Like if you think you're a badass and you've never built one of those cars, you're not.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like those people, that's just some insane stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
I mean, regardless if they have a good time at the track or not, if they have a good experience at the track, they got to drive 50 miles or whatever it may be.
Yeah, they're doing
Like
like
they have
300
to,
miles.
they have to spend like 3 or
Yeah.
4 hours changing their setup to
Yeah, they got
drive
to change the
that.
fuel. I mean, they got to
You
change
know what I mean? So
wheels, tires. I
And
mean,
I know
everything's
9-second cars that are, towing to the local track on a trailer, I drove my little 8-second street car here for the Cadillac race from Houston, and people were like, my
remember.
tires are in the back.
Oh, I
Get
remember
out,
that.
jacked it up.
Cadillac attack?
Yeah, get out. We're running 850s. People are like, I'm like, this is nothing. Y'all wait until you see Sick Week next week.
Yeah.
Like that's normal. I'm sure they were doing the same thing,
Yep.
just faster. But it's a whole different thing. But I don't group them into the whole street car thing because you'll notice those guys don't call their stuff street cars. They're just like
they
Yeah.
know what it is.
They know what it is.
they're a different world.
Yeah.
I think they had at this Sick Week or whatever, they had a convertible Mustang. I forget what the guy's name is, but he turned it down to run low fours.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
Low
the
fours.
craziest thing
That's
I've ever
wild.
seen. Turned it down. He's like, I had to turn it down quite a bit to run a low four. It was like 4.1 or 4.2. I'm like, I'm going home.
Yeah. That's wild.
But
I think the audience is, they want to know, where'd you get the chair from? How did you acquire
the story.
the chair?
So-
that is the
That's
story
a
behind
badass
it.
chair.
This chair is pretty damn proud of it. So, we were talking about the X275. So we built the Supra for X275. And this chair is actually one of the things that you get awarded when you win an X275 event, but one of the biggest X275 events, Sweet 16. So since we'd converted, like we were saying, converted the car, when X275 rules were 88 millimeter turbo, which was the biggest turbo that you could run with additional weight. And we were like, we can work with that. I was like, because, when we're running the Pro Mod stuff, you're running 106, 110 millimeter turbo. We've got some reliability because we've been doing it long enough, but I mean, you're pushing the motors a lot harder. I was like, we can take this motor that we run 110 millimeter turbo with and run it with an 88, and it should live a lot longer, or live forever, hopefully. But so that was a lot of the momentum behind going X275. And yeah, we obviously, proved that the package can do well against the V8s, and hence why we're sitting in this chair.
It was a lot of mad people, I can tell you that.
Really?
I mean, it was a tough race, really tough race, but it was a lot of mad people.
But it also
They're
came
like,
with the crown, right?
Comes with a crown, yeah. Comes
Where's
with
the crown?
shoes.
He has it in the office.
Yeah.
He has it in the office.
Yeah.
I don't blame him. I keep it too.
And there's some guys that, doing a good job, like White Rice. They're kicking some ass out there in the X275 world. But you know what? They don't got one of these.
Damn.
don't-
Delgado. Where's your chair, bro?
Yeah.
Is that my Chris? Chris?
Yeah. He's a hustler at the track
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
man.
Delgado's awesome. I mean, I'll
Yeah.
give it to him. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, he's tuning. I mean, like I said, that White Rice, it's on a rail. That car is
car's a
badass, and
monster.
it was
ever
purpose
since
built.
they rebuilt it,
Yeah.
it's
What
been
about
doing
that
its
little
thing.
taco truck they
Eric
got?
has done.
Yeah, that looks nice. I seen it at
Eric has
Texas.
done awesome
I
with
guess so.
that car. Eric has done awesome with White Rice, but
That car's gone through a lot of transitions too,
Yeah.
though.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, because I remember, because I've always been, kind of, I guess fangirl Delgado, call it what you want,
Yeah.
the man's a legend compared to, what we're doing. And, watching that car struggle and struggle and struggle, and then it just starts getting better and better. And then they change the setup, and it's just every time you think it's going to go a little faster, it was 10 times that much. I was
Yeah.
like, and then the difference in the programming when he really went to the Motec and all that stuff. I mean, just all the different capabilities. When they were doing that, what, I guess, EFI were you guys running?
So we switched when we rebuilt the car. We switched to Fuel Tech. So we, for the longest time, and most of the wins and like Canoe's car going fives, it was all done on Motec. And Motec still makes a phenomenal product. We still sell tons of them. In some of the most complicated cars, I mean, Motec is like by far the default choice, right? If you have an R8. V10 Huracan platform, you're going to go Motec. If you have a GTR, it's going to be Motec. But, we decided to switch over to Fuel Tech. Street Outlaws were coming along really big. We've known the Fuel Tech people forever. Anderson, and they'd always wanted us to run a Fuel Tech. I mean, it was always presented to us. And we decided to switch over because we felt like it's a much more affordable product. It's a lot more a simpler product because, it's
Going back to the customer stuff.
It's a screen, yeah. And it's something, in all honesty, a Motec with a PDM, with a custom wiring harness, with all this stuff is $30,000, $40,000.
And that sticker shock hurts.
And look, we have customers obviously that can pay for it, but I can't sell that to everybody. Everybody can buy, an FT 450, 550, 600. The 600 I think is like $2,500 or so. So we were like, look, engine management's come a long way. There's a lot of great choices out there, but if we use this in our car, and we know it's going to work because we have the setup. And honestly, a lot of the engine management, it's a matter of who's working it, right? So you put your combination, your tune in that box, and it works, and you configure it, and the car goes fast. We can sell more of these products, and this product can be used on a lot of swap cars. So like if you look, Fuel Tech, they don't really have any plug and play options. All their stuff is primarily sold into swap cars. But I mean, that's a lot of our background, a lot of where the sport started. Put a 4-cylinder in a truck, or put the truck motor in a Supra. I mean, if the engine management, that's a perfect solution for that. And so we said, let's put it in the Supra. Let's bring it to the import side. They were used in a couple of
They were mostly
smaller
for
cars.
V8
but-
stuff, right?
yeah,
When Fuel Tech started.
Yeah. So the funny thing is Fuel Tech primarily has been import from the beginning because they're based out of Brazil. And so in Brazil, the sport compact is huge, especially Volkswagen. So all the Fuel Tech people, employees are huge import fans. But when it came here, the partnership with Proline, it moved into the U.S. market as more of a V8 product. And that's where they made a lot of their progression. Eric Dillard, Steve Petty, they did a lot of work with Fuel Tech on the back end to configure and make a lot more, not only just user management, but different tuning tables, different configurations to make it really a phenomenal drag racing box. And we kind of piggybacked on top of that and said, hey, this stuff works. Look at, they're winning pro mod races with this. We run pro imports. We run our pro import very similar to you run just different engine program. Mm-hmm. So we said, let's put this in here and show people it'll work. And one of the Supra was one of them. We'd done another car, pro import before, La Criatura, with the Fuel Tech. So we'd already had some experience how well it worked. But the Supra, when we switched over, it was a big deal.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was a huge deal. So that was like,
it had to be kind of a scare too, even though you might have known the guys, but to go from something that's proven.
I mean, the guys gave us great support.
Right.
I mean, phenomenal support. I mean, that was part of it, and part of the decision making. I mean, truth is, look, I mean, Motec doesn't give anything away for free. And
That's a fact.
And I also was like, hey, I don't really want to drop $40,000 on this if I can make it happen for
Right.
10. Now, I mean, look, if you have the money and you have a tuner that is really capable of drilling down, like you got a Chris Delgado on
can build the
staff.
firmware.
Yeah, I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
But, at the time also we didn't have a tuner firmware program guy on staff. We had a great engine tuner, clutch chassis tuner, and Eric Lazinski. And we just needed to do kind of what we've already been doing and be able to run within kind of a box. And so moving to the Fuel Tech, it would work. We weren't going to try to go really wild and try unique things.
Just repeatable, solid performance.
Yeah, we just needed the car. We needed the car to run, right? Because we knew you're going into X275. You're limited on power by the rules. So it's all about how well you can just run the car.
And they started mostly as just drag racing, I believe. And now, I remember speaking to them quite a bit back. Yep. And they were like, well, it's not really a street car thing because we couldn't get the drivability that well. Yep. And they're like, well, it's not really that. It's kind of a drag box. And a few weeks ago, I had talked to them and they're like, no, we've got that. Oh, yeah. It drives like a stock car. They said they can control the trans on the C8 too now. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, they are they are on a roll.
They got C8 trans control.
Yep.
I'm pushing them to work on other transmissions. I wonder which one that would be. And, hopefully, they're going to, continue to come out with some products. I mean, road racers are starting to use Fuel Tech. So, I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah, but they've kind of had to use the millennial term, a pretty quick glow up.
Yep.
They come from just hardcore racing, and now they're covering a lot. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was pretty cool, especially just to stay affordable.
Yep.
So.
But again, if you got a GTR, you got an R8, you got complicated CAN bus systems, you better get a Motec.
For sure.
Yeah.
Can you tell us the story behind the
Boost Lee?
The Lambo killer?
Boost Lee right here?
Yeah.
So that's our buddy.
They're retired.
It's not retired. It's not retired.
It's just,
they'll whip that thing together tomorrow. He won't sleep.
Dalton,
grab a pizza and get on it.
Dalton's making up his mind on what he wants to do. He's you guys need to, hit him up on online. But Dalton, who owns it and drives it, he is definitely planning on doing a little, just like we did with the Supra, the Copper Supra. He wants to do an update to this one.
It's time for a comeback.
And he wants to come back. So probably new turbos. He's got some decision making on transmissions.
Get a little crazy.
Yeah, what he wants to do.
B58 swap.
I don't know if you're going to get Dalton to do that.
No, I don't know how I feel about that. Honestly,
He's like, but
I
that's
don't know
me.
how I feel about that.
S58.
Yeah, we could do S58.
There we
could
go.
do
Look,
S58.
we're on board.
I think the S58 is better anyway.
All right, everybody's going to want to know.
Yeah.
What's the question?
Yeah, why do you
2JZ?
prefer the
Well, he says because I drive a S58 car.
Because he's fancy, man.
That's what I
Cadillac.
said.
Fancy, yeah.
yeah.
Bougie, baby.
Bougie.
But no, 2JZ or,
yeah.
or B58.
What do you prefer, honestly?
Who the hell keeps calling me?
2JZ or the B58?
You cover your ears.
So there's advantages and disadvantages. The 2JZ is the old school. It's been developed. It's been proven. You had a cast iron block. I mean, that was making, 1,200 plus horsepower. Now we have billet blocks. The platform is ahead from a standpoint of development because it's had 25 years of development and money. Both of them are very similar, right? Both are inline sixes, very similar displacement. The cylinder heads are a
similar,
toss.
but they're not.
Cylinder heads are a toss up.
Let's say OE to
I wouldn't
OE,
say a
right?
toss-up.
No billet
They're
block, no
completely
aftermarket.
Completely different.
Here we go.
Both have problems.
Completely
Look,
different.
They
it's
both
coming.
have problems.
We're going to get this.
You got springs
OE
in
from
different
OE,
weird places.
That's true.
And I know there's a big technology gap, but OE to OE, people still say the 2JZ is the king. I know that hurts your
mean,
feelings, and I want to know why.
It doesn't hurt my feelings.
It does.
Why do you think it does?
Because it does. It hurts my feelings.
I mean, well, because you drive V8.
He's
I
just
had an Audi.
he's just mad. He's getting tag teamed on both sides.
He doesn't like getting tagged. But no, I'll say
Depends who
I'll
the players
say
are.
like the 2JZ is king, and I can say that because like it has history, like it has a bunch of time to mature and go through all of that. As of now, if you were, let's say, put the timeline that the B58 has and compare that to the 2JZ at that time, like it is still even hard to say because like there was nothing to control it back then. So, you have a cast block, you have aluminum, you have a lot going on in this aluminum head. You have less going on over here, but it's either or. But I mean, to sum it up, in my opinion, as of now, 2J is king. I have experience in both of them, but the B58 will give it a run for its money up to a certain point, because it is what it is. Like 1,600 horsepower right now for the B58 S58. You could do that with a stock block well, not stock block, but
Define
close
stock
to
block.
it,
Sleeve.
sleeve.
Yeah.
But be careful. There'll be kids out there be
the
like,
one thing
well,
is-
Titan said stock block can do it.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing is, look, the progression of the B58 is one of the fastest progressing platforms per horsepower, in our sport.
We have
Pretty much
heard of
ever.
that.
It's three, but it's only been three. It's been 3 years. It's just 2JZ's had 25 plus years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
But the 2JZ, I guess what really made it so phenomenal was the head design and the cams, correct? Something.
I think it was just Paul Walker said that, that's the motor to go with.
Was it Gallo 12 or Gallo 24?
I mean, Paul Walker picked the naturally aspirated version.
Only you guys would pick that up.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, personally, like the B58 is a phenomenal engine, and it has a lot of moving parts in there, and it just has so much control to make it much more efficient. Regardless if it's aluminum or however it's put together. Like, and the same with the S58. So for it to be so efficient, like pound for pound, like it's one of the best on the market. Once you start to make good power, one of the flaws that you see if you look into that platform is head gasket issues. Everybody's firing in it. but that's just part of it once you start to make power. Outside of that, you don't really, there are a few here, like issues here and there, but overall, like people just slap it together, pistons and rods, make 1,000 horsepower, go drive to Chick-fil-A, do whatever, then go to Mexico, have some fun.
I think what's kind of funny and what kind of makes I guess the whole platform deal funny is, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, was back in the day again. Back in the day.
Back in your day.
Right, back in my day. Like the LS1 was the motor. That was it. You know, to beat that motor, you just didn't. Mustangs were irrelevant at that point. Hate it if you want. But the 2J was the one that kind of, I'm not going to say put it in its place because I don't know.
I mean, it's your opinion.
I'm not going to touch that one. But
say it.
It's funny because now the LT1, which is superior to the LS, don't care what you think, the direct injection, right? It's kind of like that battle all over again.
Yeah.
Because, and then from my side, it kind of hurts because I've been Team GM forever. But after stepping into the BMW stuff, I'm just like, man, we lacking hard.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean,
it's kind of like they're coming back, but they're kind of coming back with a foot on our neck already.
But at the same time, like with all that technology, it does complicate things. So you starting to mess with them, you can see where like things can break and cause different problems and stuff like that. Where a simplistic LS, like
they still put DOD in our motors. Let's be real here.
Yeah.
Like and a variable cam that only works the wrong way.
Yeah.
So we got the same kind of dumb stuff, but I guess unfortunately, we just don't have as much access to the adjustments in that OE computer that BMW does. So I guess it's kind of like letting you get in there and poke, and you poke the wrong spot.
Yeah.
On GM, we're a lot more limited. Plus, there's sadly a lot less stuff to poke there. But the complication is next level. But you're still doing 6 versus 8, and it's there.
It's true.
I mean, it's a deadly combo.
Yeah.
But
any swaps on like I do any swaps like on let's say they have a 2JZ, they want to put it on an A90. I do any swaps like that?
We haven't done any. Obviously a ton of the drifters love to do that. That's a very common swap. Honestly, the drifters love the 2JZ, love the LS platform, and they're putting those two motors into any chassis.
Yeah.
We haven't done one. We talked about it early on when the car came out, but honestly, with our development just snowballing, and then honestly just having so many cars to build and work on at the time, we just had no thought in mind of like trying to go and do a swap, because we know what 2JZ will do. So swapping it's cool, but we just didn't have the time to take on a project like that. We knew a bunch of other people would, and a lot of those cars, when they're not going to be street cars, they're not going to utilize air conditioning or try to utilize the OEM dash and instrument cluster. If you're really to do a true swap and you had all of that, it would be totally different, because the car's got electric power steering and a bazillion other controls, and you're not going to just swap an engine like that. So you're going to turn it into basically any other 2JZ style swapped car. It's just going to be a Supra chassis at that point, a Mark V chassis.
Yeah.
We figured there's a lot of other people who could do it. They could buy the 2JZ parts from us and do it.
So what about the M240 front diff into the Supra?
Sometimes I get some weird thoughts.
I can't help but think, like, why has nobody done? And I get it's got to be a cost thing, obviously.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Right?
Time and money.
After watching the M240Is out there in Puerto Rico, I'm like, wait a second, that little thing is all-wheel drive? They're like, yeah, it's just an all-wheel drive Supra, and I'm like, so it's the same chassis? Yeah, it's the same chassis. I'm like, what are we waiting on?
I don't know. I mean, we're pretty busy here doing things. So, I mean, I would love to try to do something like that. That would be badass, you know?
Is it a possibility, or I mean, is that something that you think might actually be
I mean,
functional? I don't know how different the cars are.
I don't.
I
don't
don't
know
know
how
there.
much
We can
control.
go pull it
I
out.
don't
Put it
know how
on the
much
lift and let's
control.
check it
Let's
out.
put it on a lift and pull it apart.
I mean, you know, I'm down.
I know.
Say go. You know.
You don't have anywhere
but-
to be, do you?
I'll stay. I'll rebook a flight. I'm not scared.
But I think like as long as you can control it, like you know, basically, I don't see why you can't. I'm sure you got to make some different.
probably take the
adapters and
BMW
stuff
computer,
like
right?
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly. So I mean, you got to just remember a chassis is just nuts and bolts, and you know, just cut. Well, put some nuts and bolts,
That's right.
brackets.
Remember that.
send
Make it all.
Remember that?
remember that. Remember
I mean,
that
it won't-
body.
it won't
Number
be a
one is number
street
one.
car then,
whether it's
but-
2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive.
Yeah,
Number
but-
one's number one.
Yeah, that is true.
That's right. Go back out there. 690. Was that 4-wheel drive? Doesn't matter.
Doesn't
That's
matter.
number one.
Yep.
Heck, the car already's cutting the 60 foots that
One
you
one's
probably
is
are going to
crazy.
cut with all-wheel
Yeah.
drive.
But
That was-
119 is pretty crazy, but like
I mean, who would have thought?
115, 114,
Who
every
would've-
10th.
Who would have thought a production car would cut 160 foots? You know, production transmission, differential.
It's not even that. It's the wheelbase.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
the wheelbase
wheelbase.
We can do
short,
that. We
crazy.
can do that in a Vet. We can do that in a Camaro. But the thing's also, 3 feet longer.
Yeah.
So coming from an RX-7 background, I remember trying to get those to work, and boy, that thing was staying on the back bumper faster than you'd even know what's going on. You're already, and that car isn't any bigger. It can't be any bigger.
No.
The wheelbase
So-
is super
Thing is,
short.
it
To
was
make
a-
that wheelbase work and to put that time down, that's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, those on the street, they just want to spin out. So
So where do you stand? What are what is the current number one? Are they similar 60 footing, or is there something?
yeah, well-
where's the lack? I guess the difference between the cars.
I would say the big end for the most part.
So you're less on the mile an hour, or less on
Less
the
on the
ET?
mile an hour.
Okay.
Car's
So
lighter.
he
His car's
has-
lighter.
yeah,
by probably about 200
you know,
pounds.
Yeah, he's definitely lighter.
Harbor Freight's
and,
down the street. Yeah,
and I
That's
mean,
where that
he
AC
has a
comes in. That
slightly-
AC's got to
can't
get
get rid
thrown
of
out
AC.
the
Though. It's
door.
not a street car.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I would love to strip that thing down, and then
But then it wouldn't be as fruitful for you.
I don't really care about that.
Yeah,
Well, let's gut it.
That's
We-
more
what are we
so
waiting on?
sales, you
It
know.
just sometimes
So-
you just gotta. Sometimes you gotta let it marinate, and then just one day you wake up and you go, you know what? We're doing this. It's the same
Time
thing.
to smack 'em.
Same thing with the Copper Supra.
I mean,
we didn't cut the. We
I don't
wouldn't
think y'all
cut
let people do a
anything
lot
on
of
the car.
marinating on that car. That car pretty much came out and just ran the track every time. So.
No, we when we would think about building it, we would always, if there's any cutting required or any major removal like that, we would have to really sit there and think about it. It was just more of a, this is a street car and we're going away from that.
Right.
And it's just, I think it's just more personal, right? Some people listen. We have another car out there that's salvage title chassis. I mean,
Don't give it all away.
If we're gonna build that one,
give it
if
all
we
away.
decide to, we will just
I mean,
get the selling torch out and let's
don't
go.
matter.
I mean, I get it. That's
I mean-
kind of like on my car. A lot of people with the C7s, we go out there and we race with these guys in Mexico, fully legal. And we're beating these cars that are, they're gutted and all that.
Yeah,
And they're like, why don't you
absolutely.
gut your car? You can go a little faster. And I'm like, well, first off, we're already winning. Second off,
Yeah.
I like my cooled seat. It just, to me, it doesn't matter to anybody else if my car was gutted or not.
Well-
but to me, it matters. And maybe that's just how, you guys probably see it.
For me, the
'Cause
car is
it's nice
still
to go
fun
sevens
to
and
drive.
still have all your
Like,
nice seats.
the car is still fun to drive. Obviously, like it's definitely fun with AC, but at least in my mind, I think it'll still be enjoyable to drive without AC. As long as the windows work.
So we're tipping you already.
I mean, you don't have to tempt me for a good time, with a good time. But at the same time, I understand there is purpose why we didn't pull it all out and stuff, make it lighter. Sounds like a rotary outside. But it's for sales. I understand that portion of it. But at the same time, like how you were going into, you don't have to, you know, I'm already number 1, number 2 spot, you know, so
It's a progression.
I just want to be in that number 1 spot, but
When
not
it's
just
ready.
that. I definitely want to be in a number 1 spot, but also like I like to race. And let's say if I start next setup, I come out and running like, you know, 730s. Like at that point, like it's not fun because like the whole class, like it's a little bit more to just being number 1, at least for me, because like I like a heads up race. Like I want to race, you know what I mean? I like to have that, you know, that connection to where it's like, all right, no funny stuff, but we're gonna race, and then at the end of it, be like, I won. And then if I lose, you know, it's like, all right, shake hands, but I'm coming back for you, you know? And it's like at Texas, you know, I was like, you know, I was prepared. I was like, I told Body, I was like, you know, I'm coming for you. You know, he's like, yeah, I know. And then, you know, coincidentally, both of us broke. So I'm just like,
Yet to be
I'm
seen.
still coming for you, but to be continued,
Yeah.
you know? So, and then obviously it came back, tested immediately, and then got the record. And, you know, that was a great feeling. But at the same time, like,
Puppy kicking's not your thing.
Texas, yeah. I mean, FL2K is going to be interesting, to say the least. And it's also nice to see more, like, drivers and teams coming along, so it's nice. So it's like, because like the last few years it's only been a few key players, you know, so the new faces and is really nice, you know.
It was good to see, like, honestly, hey, look, we wanted to win at Texas 2K. Body wanted to win at Texas 2K, but, you know, it was nice to see a new winner.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Somebody, you know? So,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I mean,
So, I mean, you know, that keeps it going, right? That keeps, honestly, them motivated. And again, like you said, it's the culture. You know, it's like a big family. You know, the Supra guys all want to. You know, we want to just keep pushing everybody together.
All right. Yeah, 'cause you see the same 2 guys win every time.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, why am I even coming here?
yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. You know,
you want to keep it tight enough to breed the competition.
And I mean, that's the thing with the Supra platform. It's a little harder than most people think, right? You know, you still got to shift the car. You know, if you have an R8, it's got auto shift. You got GTR, it's got auto shift. You know, those are 2 platforms that are, you know, running in the 7s and, you know, pretty consistently, but, you know, they have a technology advantage there, and as well as like the transmissions and the way they're built, you know, is a better combination. So, you know, the Supra, it still is a driver's game. You know, you got to leave one light. You've got to shift each gear shift.
Well, you
And
also got
it's
to
not easy either.
I mean,
you got to keep
It's
those
not-
those
and
Audis off
it's
the
not
wall,
easy
too, though.
because-
just imagine if we had a trans brake, though.
Yeah.
You know.
yeah, that's a good possibility.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, but there is like some auto shift strategies out there for the platform. Just as of right now, I'm not using it. You know,
Right.
but you know, obviously it's amazing to just push down on the gas and go. But you know,
It's not that simple. Don't let people think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
how people think that's how it works. I hear
yeah,
that all the
but
time.
they'll
They're like,
find
you
out.
roll race,
Hopefully
you
they
just
don't
stab the
wreck
gas
car,
and go.
but you
I'm
know.
like, you hop in that and go stab the gas. Let me know how well that worked out for you.
Yeah.
But you guys do work with the R8s and
Yep.
that platform
Yeah.
as well.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So
It's a
One
phenomenal
of my
platform.
favorite platforms.
yeah, because I've seen
We had
quite a few different cars here.
Yeah.
we-
So it's
we
definitely
have-
not just Supras.
We have Omar's R8 that he recently actually sold. He sold it because I got back into driving, and he just couldn't stand the pressure of losing to me again.
Right. Right. I mean, that makes sense.
You know, I mean, we're best friends, so I didn't want to hurt his feelings. So this was definitely
Tell him directly.
This was he knows it was the best thing for him. I mean, he pulled the trigger on the decision. You know, he just said, "Oh, Nero's back." As soon as he saw me going down the track and
He was like,
the M3, he
"Jig's
said,
up.
"Put it up for sale,
We're
dude.
done."
Put it up. Put it on Facebook Marketplace. Get rid of that thing." So, you know, he recently sold it. But, I mean, that car went, you know, sevens. It was very often, he was running 8.0s and 8.1s with stock motor.
Yeah.
You know, we were pushing the platform. And I think his best was 7.7s. Actually, he was rebuilding it for Texas 2K before a random guy kind of came up and bought it just out of the blue. And it was going to go probably 750s, maybe 730s. So
It should have.
yeah.
Should have.
Yep,
It was spec'd out pretty.
So yeah,
pretty
that
nice.
platform is, I mean, it is phenomenal. I mean, it's displacement right there. I mean, you've got a factory built race car from Lamborghini you start with. So I mean, you have a bit of a leg up just because, you know, the way it was built to begin with versus like some of the cars like a Supra, which is $55,000. It's impossible to compare it to a $200,000+ car. But the fact that, you know, the Supras can go sevens. And those cars are really very few of them still going sevens. You know, it's pretty.
Yeah.
Like the most I pushed the Audis to on the stock block.
So we have actually one customer, Ronald. He made over 1,600 at the wheels on stock motor. We did some interesting tests with it, but one of the biggest things we learned is changing the valve train, the springs and retainers on a stock motor, which, mind you, is a massive pain in the butt.
Because you have to pull
do.
the motor to do that.
So you might as well just
Yeah.
build the motor at that point. But, you know, Ronald's, you know, one of kind of our team cars. So he wanted to just change just the valve train and see how much more power we could make by doing it, because some of the valve train is weak and you'll run into a misfire on that platform above 1,200 horsepower. And his car did that. Omar's R8 actually didn't, and it was making about 1,450. But when we changed the valve train, the motor sealed up so much tighter, and I mean, is night and day difference power wise. And he was able to push it to 1,600 to stop the 1,600 on the dyno.
Yeah. And I mean, we could have pushed it a little more, but you know, that customer was more like longevity because he would drive it a lot and, you know, have fun in Mexico, but like it was more so cruise, have a good time, and if somebody pulls up, you know, he's changing maps, you know. So but those platforms are very reliable. They make power very easily. It's just, I don't know, it's
hard to
something
beat.
different and
It's hard to beat. It's hard to beat.
It's just expensive,
I will tell
but
you.
really
Pleasure
hard to
seeing
beat.
that.
Yeah.
You know, Tony, the T1, he's in
Yep.
Puerto Rico.
Yep.
So that's the, I went over to his shop. He let us use the dyno one day. How the people are out there.
Yep.
I'm over there working on the dyno, and he's like, man, this is, so you do this, blah, blah, kind of, you know, talk with him. And he just starts explaining how he does the Lambos and stuff like that. And I'm like, hey, walk into a Lambo shop out here. Other than y'all are a little different.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you walk in any of these shops, and first off, you're not getting in.
Nope.
Second off, they're not going to tell you anything. You know, and he was like, man, if you want to learn this platform, I know you were talking about maybe moving out here. I was like, say no more.
So
But-
it's funny because Tony's a good friend of ours, and he uses like actually a lot of our internals in the V10s that he builds, and he's a 2JZ guy. That's
Oh,
why.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
why.
that's where he
see?
started. Yeah.
So he's a 2JZ
He
Supra
still got
guy.
a Supra on the lift.
Yep. And so that's again, you know, that's kind of the background where he came from. So he's probably a little bit more friendly than maybe some of
He's
your
one of the nicest
Lambo
people.
builders.
Yeah. He's just like a regular guy, you know. And I went in there recently, and we go out, sit down, eat the dinner, like everything, you know. It's just funny how I was just kind of bringing back how the 2JZ, the Lambo guys, they're all kind of, for the most part, working together as well. But I think he was testing an R8, the blue R8 they did with a billet block.
Yep.
And I don't know, 40 something pounds, nothing crazy. And
Nothing crazy.
to us, 45 pounds, 1,700, 1,800 is pretty normal. This thing goes like 2100 something. He's like, yeah, that was soft tune up. I'm like, man, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a billet block.
Yeah.
you
It's
know,
just the power potential of that
on
platform.
on the track,
is
he's
insane.
pushing those probably to 2600 plus.
It's so insane. Watch him run at the half mile. And then he invites everybody over for steak. Steak was killer.
Oh yeah,
know how to
normally
cook.
is. Normally is.
Boy, they know how to
he's,
cook.
he's an awesome guy and his crew. Like his son too.
But he
is,
comes
like,
from
yeah.
the Toyota background as well, which
Yeah.
I've just, recently, because I've always been GM, I'm recently starting to see this, and it's like it's a trend.
We can convert you all the way over, huh?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I am very excited for it. Nervous, but excited.
Yeah.
That's a part of the process.
You open up that map, and I'm used to seeing 500-600 tables. I'm like 6,100. So it's definitely a lot different, but the capability is it's so endless. There's no way that's all been tapped. So what y'all are doing now, I mean, God knows what's going to be available or able to be done in the next year.
I mean, the platform changes. Honestly, it's changing so fast. We're like constantly working on it, and then it's funny when we're not working on it, we get mad at each other for we're not working on it because we feel like we're going to get passed up. So the platform is just progressing so quickly. It's amazing.
Is that y'all's main target right now, other than sales? Because I think sales is your biggest thing, right? The parts.
Yep.
I know you guys
Absolutely.
are back there making roll cages. And
Yep.
yeah, the
So-
first time I walked through here, I'm just like, they just do everything. I'm surprised you're not back there bending body panels for cars.
Well, we haven't figured out a way to make money at it yet.
So it's coming.
That's how it works here.
That is how it works.
Repop Supras.
I mean,
Never know.
Our whole thing is, we want to have fun, and I mean, if there's a good business case to it, and we can make some money at it and put more money into building cool cars and racing, I mean, that's kind of what we're trying to do. I mean, in a nutshell. So yeah, I mean, all these little things have started. I mean, we do a ton of roll bars, roll cages. Obviously, and safety has been key. I mean, it's been a big thing, especially now that all the sanctioning bodies require it. Florida 2K and Texas 2K. And then we've cut back on working on some of the customer cars because it's become difficult to keep up with customer demand as well as like do our own projects and R&D. Especially since we keep adding cars. Doing the S58 with the M3 and the M4. Obviously, some of it's similar to the B58, but there's a lot of new things to learn. So we really are trying to keep product development going to be able to educate our customers so that they can figure out the right combinations and buy the right combinations. So we are still working on cars, but we've definitely scaled back to a very minimal amount in comparison to in the past.
It was just the first time I came here. It was that vibe. Ryan. I talked to Ryan when I came, and I talked about my brother's car, and he's like, "Yeah, man, do this," and gave us a list, and we bought some parts, and everything came. It was just a good deal. And to be able to actually go back and kind of talk to the guys and see the setup, and you don't
your
get that.
eyes were this big.
What's going
because
on?
I've been following the cars forever, and to actually see the car, I was just like, but it's cool because it seems like you guys come from more of a relaxed background. Over here, you're a legend. Kicking ass at the track, and this empire basically.
Yeah.
And then you would never think pull in here, and these guys are as down to earth as it can be. Otto over here ordering pizza. Man, you want some pizza? I'm like, he met me an hour ago. He's already buying pizza. I'm like,
You ate pizza? I'm fucking starving, bro.
Well, you went to this.
I did half expect pizza when we came, but I was like, it's all right, we get it.
But I mean, a lot of times, like whenever, like let's say we're
That's awesome.
prepping for an event and stuff, you're gonna be here till 3 in the morning, whatever it is. But you just got to make sure that everything else is in order because you're gonna be, at least me, I'm gonna be under a hood. So like I want to make sure somebody else gets pizza so I don't have to like deal with that because I know I have 2 hours to assemble this engine and then another hour to get it in. And then by that time, it's going to be the lights coming up, the sun's coming up, and then I got to be on the trailer and out. You
That
know,
happened.
so
I think you were upside down in a trunk, though.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just like, you know, there's dedication here, I should say. You know, everyone has goals, but when it comes to racing, like a lot of us are inspired to do well. And then like for me, like look behind you, like all those trophies, like,
Yeah.
like that's
insane.
for me to like go out there and drive like shit and well, sorry for cursing, but for me to go out there and drive like shit, it's like I can't, that's not an option for me, you know, because like I've worked here for 10 years, and so I got to work with Gary White, Eric Lazinski, the race team, and a few other key players, you know, that, you know, basically ran the pro team. So I have that experience, and I learned a lot of things, you know, and like, so I have a chance to put that stuff to use. And like, just for instance, like Gary White, when he would drive the pro cars, I would always scratch my head, like, why does he do that way? Or like, why won't he let me pack the chute when I watch him and almost do it every time? And then so now when I'm behind the wheel, it's like, oh, that makes sense now, you know? So like to an extent, like I feel a little pressure, but at the same time, like I have the confidence to get it done. And then being surrounded with like a good team and a good environment, that definitely helps, you know? So
Yeah. To be such a big shop and to see such a relaxed, kind of welcoming, I guess, environment was not something
at the same
that you would
time,
normally
like,
expect anymore.
absolutely. But like the end result is like, you want results. It doesn't matter how you get the results, is you got to get the results.
But I feel like
but
being
here
able
it
to-
just meshes really
being able to
well.
have all that and
Yeah,
still get the
here-
results, and
it's great.
nobody's. Yeah,
I mean,
I
here
didn't see anybody
everybody's-
throwing anything. I'm sure that happens, but I
Oh,
didn't
it
see,
definitely
I didn't
happens.
see anybody throwing anything, yelling, freaking out.
Well,
like,
here everybody's gearheads, right? So like, you don't, people don't just come here to work because it's just a job. They're gearheads, and they really like it. I mean, even our accounting staff, a lot of them are gearheads, right? I mean, they don't need to do anything but obviously do accounting and cut checks and, you know, so forth. But they're gearheads, and they like working here because they're surrounded by car stuff, even though most of the time they're just doing financials on the computer. But that's just a small component. So everybody here loves cars. And so, you know, the team wants to help each other, right? Whether it's getting pizza or whether it's like, hey, I need to, if we need to call somebody and be like, hey, I need somebody to run to Tampa right now. We need a part for the car so Otto can put it on tonight or for tomorrow morning. There's probably going to be 3 or 4 people who are like, I'll go right now.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of companies that won't happen. They're like, yeah, you can deal with that on your own.
majority,
That's your problem.
Yeah.
majority of them.
You know, so it kind of goes back to how we started. I mean, we started as a small company, you know, wanting to go racing and being gearheads. Like the company was never, it was literally made to just buy parts for the race car. You know, there's that was the whole foundation of how the business started. So, you know, it's changed, obviously. It's become a lot bigger, but
But
you know,
you kept the heart there.
the culture in keeping it there is important.
Yeah.
What is the future for Titan?
I mean, S58, you know, M3 is definitely like on the forefront for us. We've been doing well with that platform. I think that carries right over from the B58. You know, our name, you know, we've been into BMWs in the past, but the BMW market now, they're definitely like making bigger power, like drag racing. And, you know, having done the A90, and quite often in many BMW events, there was always an A90 class. So our name became known at BMW events and people started to notice. So the transition's been well received with us starting to do the S58 platform. Past that, we're playing with the Corolla GR. That's part of it.
Why you snickering
My brother
over
just
there?
bought one.
Yep,
He goes, "You want to make a really fast GR?" I said, "Isn't it a 3-cylinder?"
it's a
He
3-cylinder.
goes, "That's not the point."
It
I'm
is.
like, I mean, you just hate money. Same one with the blown up Supra.
Listen,
You-
they mod well though.
gotta-
They mod well.
you gotta-
He's already bought
point,
ECU
but-
check for it.
They mod
We're
well.
going down that path too.
They mod well.
Well, I mean, for me, like I like trying new things. You know, I like not just being different, but going through the headache of figuring out new stuff. I mean, I don't know, when a new platform comes about,
Yeah.
you know, like I'm gonna poke at it, you know. So, but for a 3-cylinder, I see where you're coming from.
That's
You know,
all I
there's-
said. I'm like,
There's
what about
only
the
how-
Supra? What
you
about
know.
a motor for that? He's like, well, while I'm waiting on that, I'm like, "Bro, I know where this is gonna go. We built you a Camaro. That wasn't good enough either. So he bought it for his daughter.
it's a good. I'm going to tell you, it's
I mean,
a good.
there's
So
always
we'll be
excuses.
so get the parts ready because you know
It's a good.
Ryan will be selling him parts for that thing.
It's a good platform to drive around. I'll tell you that it is. I mean, it's not going to be a big slayer at the drag strip.
Oh no, not at
but
all.
it's a good fun toy, like you said.
The
to
first day
have.
he got it, he goes, "Dude, you got to drive this." I'm like I just don't know that I'm going to be impressed with a 3-cylinder. He goes, "You might." I said, "I won't, but I will drive it."
yeah.
But I'll
So-
tell you, so that's a platform that's usually going to be people's first mod car, and it's a good first mod car for a lot of people. And that again gets people back, gets them into the sport. And once they've modded their first car, if it's been a good
It's a
experience,
sickness, and you've infected them.
boom, and they're going to get into the Supra, they're going to get into the M3.
That's what it is.
I like how you put that.
That's what it is. But something else
I'm a
I've
doctor.
noticed.
I got your medicine.
Something else
Yeah.
I've noticed on the BMW stuff, which I thought was kind of cool and more, inviting for tuners, right? Is so we'll build a Corvette, right? And they're like, "Man, I really want to make 1,200 horsepower, and I really want everything to be stock." And I'm like, "But what if it breaks? Man, if it breaks, I really can't afford that." And I'm like, I get it, but like maybe you shouldn't do that. But on the BMW, they're like, well, I want to make this much power, and I know I need a transmission. I know I need this, and they're like, so they budget for it. I'm like, well, this is weird.
Yeah.
The change of pace.
I mean,
I know it's a
because-
more expensive car, but not really. I mean,
Yeah.
a G80 and a Z06 are the same price.
Well, I would say like one of the difference there is like everybody knows the recipe, you know? So everybody knows like, oh, you need a trans. What type of trans? Everybody knows is to get the pure.
It's also not
You know
the
what I
first
mean?
car
And
that are
it's
modded.
just like it's like boom, 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 boom.
Well,
boom,
and
you
from
know?
the GM side, though, that was the thought process at first. But then you got ignorant people like me that just don't want to be like that. And I'm like, well, no, I think that trans will do better. And then we double the power on the same trans. And I guess I feel like these guys, they're kind of like, nah.
You know,
Just
because,
build it, don't care.
Obviously, this car hasn't been around for so long.
It's just a
you
different
know?
thought
And
process, I
it's
guess.
like and like you're saying, it's a different wave of people.
It is. Well,
Like,
a lot of them don't want to. They're like, hey, let's do it right the first time. I don't want it coming back. I don't want it in the shop all the time.
Yeah, but on GM stuff, you do it all right the first time, it will fail. If you just slap it together,
I've seen
it'll
that.
never break.
I've seen that.
I
like,
did
with
my
eyes.
CTSV the best I could possibly do it, and my wife still kicked my ass for a year with hers, and we slapped hers together. But so my C7, I was like, "Pfft, just throw parts at it. Yeah, it's a rod and piston motor, make a 1300 wheel, doesn't blow up. Don't know why, but it's such a difference in mentality of customer.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something to transition to.
Yeah, for sure.
It's good, but I feel like it doesn't breed enough people that want to make something happen that probably shouldn't happen, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it used to. That'll change. But I just it's kind of weird transitioning over. But you guys have been to that forever because the Supras, nobody really half-assed those. They were
Yeah.
it was too expensive to do that.
So,
mean- Go ahead.
oh, nope.
Now, I was just saying, when the A90 came out, and it was like, man, Toyota really put a BMW engine in there?
Yep. Yep.
And it was like, I had messed with some BMW platforms before, but it was more so like, But then it was like, all right, it's a Supra. We're going to deal with this. So I'm just diving head forward. Like, I'm just going to give it my 100%. And that's just how I approached it. And then I had some support. So at that point was like, I got this. It's just nuts and bolts and wires, you know.
It's funny,
Obviously, it's
everybody said it's a BMW, blah, blah, blah. It's a BMW. You see always on the, you don't hear it too much anymore.
No, because now the BMWs are doing it too.
Well, so when we got the car, people were like, what do you think? I was like, look, it's a car. I mean, I told the guys, we're going to have to figure it out. I mean, it's a Supra. It's going to be different. Even if Toyota made it, it's still going to be different than a Mark IV.
Right.
So
absolutely,
it was like, hey, we're just going to have to figure it out. And, it's going to be different. And it's going to be different for the Toyota dealerships. They have to figure it out too. And, it'll come about. You just got to stick to it and just keep working on it. And it's got its own different quirks.
And then they hit you over the head with the whole locked ECU and having to do that.
And changing to a 6-port in 1 year. Yeah. They thrown plenty of curveballs.
It's not like they gave you a platform and you rolled with it.
Yeah.
They gave you a platform and then they were like,
let's change
wait,
it.
we made this a little better. Try this. I'm like, wait, we started on this one.
Yeah.
So did y'all start pushing the 2-port as far? You started with the 2-port, right?
Yeah,
and
it was a 2-port.
Yeah. So it's
we actually bought a second car and we were racing 2 for a short period of time. But
the thought process was we'd have 2 cars so we could always have one that if it needed to be a part for testing or fitting something or whatever, it could sit there on the lift and be a part while the other one could keep racing and keep developing. Because, we are also like a race against obviously other shops, developing the platform and test fitting stuff. So we couldn't have the one car we had be the only car that was test fitting and making new product, because then it never would be actually used.
Right.
It'd be always a part. So
that makes
for
sense,
about a year, we kept a second car to literally just keep going. And we weren't even sure which one of the 2 we were going to race and keep at the end.
Yeah, it was weird. We made a decision like
it was like a coin flip.
It took us like 10 minutes of just going back and forth, and it was like, I don't know.
It was like a
white
coin. It was like
black, white. I don't
think?
know. But it was. I kind of missed that car because like I won the first A90 race in the black chassis, and I don't know, but
that sentimental comeback.
It was like the first one. It was like, yeah, got it. But at the same time, like now this one, I mean, I made the right choice. That one's nice.
Yeah. I'm surprised you're hanging in.
Dude.
This guy started like 5 o'clock this morning, huh?
Yeah, I started at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I see you over there.
He didn't take the blow you took.
I got to sleep on the way here.
Okay, so what else we're working on? Okay, so we have Corolla, and then so we've noticed that this overland craze.
Orlando.
It's Orlando.
Yeah, it's Orlando. So we've noticed this overland craze. Especially with these guys that are getting older, like yourself here.
Thanks.
And are buying SUVs and overlanding. So we've been starting to dabble in that. We've got an Ineos, which is a new car manufacturer. I don't know if you saw that.
Explain that one a little bit. He had to explain it to me. Very, very cool. But these people don't know what that is.
So Ineos is basically like a Defender, but it's not a Defender. It's made by a completely different company. A long time ago, the owner, the guy who started Ineos, bought a lot of the molds from Land Rover and basically made his own new Defender or Defender style vehicle. And they've been through multiple lawsuits, and he's won those lawsuits. And now he's come about and become his own auto manufacturer. And so it's based out of the UK. And so those cars were available there, and now they've become available in the US. And if you probably didn't notice it, you'd be like, oh, maybe that's a Defender, but you had to take a second look, and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. And he's got a lot of, if you take a really good look at it from an overlanding perspective, he's got a lot of cool features, that come with the vehicle or options with the vehicle, from like E-Track on the side of it, clamp down stuff, a ladder, the ladder to go up on top, and
There's an auxiliary
stuff,
battery and charging system. I mean, it's The 4-wheel drive system is pretty badass. You know, it's just like for what they stepped out and tried to accomplish, I think they did it pretty well. And then I was shocked because it came with a B58 as well, a 2-port, and I'm like, ooh, we could do something with this. And then so I mean,
we've already started modding it, and obviously it's got a 2-port, so it's got a B58. So that was as soon as they announced the B58, we're like, I think we need to get one of those just to see what the hell it is.
Yeah.
And it's actually pretty cool. So we've lifted it, we started modding it. So we'll have a lot of packages for it, and it's a niche market car. But I think it's going to gain a lot of popularity, and from there we'll see kind of how that market takes us.
Yeah, I think that one's going to be really cool. He was showing us some pictures of it. And
I left
it's
right
kind of
before
cool
y'all got
again,
here.
it all kind of works together.
Yeah.
And then some people are going to be crazy and take it down the drag strip anyways.
I mean, why
That's us.
not?
With somebody hanging from the
Why
ladder.
not?
But so
Couple last questions. The first 2 JZ engine in the 5s?
Yes. Checkbox.
Checkbox. First,
as a big checkbox.
first to make 1,000 on the MK4 Supra?
I think so. Check it out.
I think so.
Vegas, we did that. It was a whole show. In a street car, check it off. Vinny 10 will say he probably has it, but he's not here, so
That's right.
check it off.
Yeah.
Canceled.
The 2J engine program. The 90 Racing 555.
Yep.
At 263.
Check it off. Yep. So Natty Racing
Cup.
uses our whole engine. We literally put it all together here, assemble it for him, and he drops it into the car like a crate motor. And he's got the world record at import versus domestic.
And then first in the 8s with the A90.
Yep.
Soon to be
2-port.
Well, who made body beat you to the 7s?
Yes.
Beat him to the 6s with the all-wheel drive swap.
Yep. We are looking for sponsors, by the way.
Always looking for sponsors.
Since he wants us to go 6s, it's going to cost a lot.
Sponsored
I
later.
mean, it
That's about
will
all I
cost a
got.
lot.
It'll
But,
cost a lot.
I'm sure we can do it.
Yeah.
But
So going 5s in the 2J, how was that a decent close battle, or were you just kind of
No, that was a pretty. I mean, so Rod Harvey at the time in Australia, and he's from New Zealand, but he races in Australia. He was running, and he was also going low 6s, and it was literally it's kind of an internet battle. As funny as it is, we were going back and forth. He would be right there knocking on the door of trying to be the first in the 5s. And Canoe Racing was also with our team. Gary White was driving. Lazinski was there doing the chassis. Shane T was doing the tuning. And it literally just would go back, and it was like a ping pong. It was back and forth, and probably for a year and a half of like the ETs would keep dropping and go, 640, 630, just 620s. And then when it started to really get interesting, it was like right there at the 6.0s. And, it took probably at least another 40 or 50 runs, probably at least, just to go from like that 6.0s to just 5.9s, 599 or 598. I think it was 598.
Damn.
so you had the wall of 6.0s like everybody,
Yeah, you
They get
just-
like that wall of 10.0s, and you get the wall of 9.0s.
You find a lot of the weaknesses like between that, honestly, that 640 or really 620 to 590s. You found an enormous amount of little weaknesses with the 2JZ. I mean, at some point, the block was literally just cracking the front of it off every run,
yeah.
just a big chunk of it.
What's like an estimated power or something like that had to make?
I want to say, probably 2600, 2600 at that time.
And you guys went
what we
as
estimated.
fast as 550s, I believe, right?
Yeah, so with the Natty car last year, he went in the 550s and set the world record.
Yeah.
And he
That
backed
thing
it
was
up too.
Insane.
Yep.
I wish you could have seen it in person. It was
We'll send you the video.
I'm down.
Crazy.
I'd love to see it.
crazy.
Clip it in.
Appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, it was great. I'm glad y'all got to come and
Yeah. But no,
check out the
we
shop.
yeah.
And I thought it'd be a little more. I'm glad. I should just say, I'm glad we kept it professional.
Yeah, for sure.
Very hard.
Yeah.
We went
But-
soft today, so
I appreciate though. I really do appreciate the Go Hard, crew. I mean, you guys got a great team here, coming out
Appreciate
and visiting us and giving us this opportunity.
I was told to be professional.
yeah.
Not by me,
Not by you, then by who?
Ryan.
Ryan.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you said no cursing, no. I hear all these rules, so
I didn't read any of them. I didn't
I
sign
ain't even
nothing.
call nobody out.
Well, you know what they say,
There's still
right?
time. Who you want to call out?
If you're not cheating, you're not winning.
That's true. I ain't
It's
mad
not
at
cheating if
nobody.
It's not in the rule book.
You're absolutely right.
That's just how it works, man.
That's why, I never cry river. I don't talk shit. It's more so about facts, being consistent, winning, and if you lose, learn from it. So
So who needs to learn from it?
everybody's already learning. So
Oh,
it's
shit.
just
Damn.
one more
Except for
person
Body.
again.
Except for body.
Except for
But at the
Bobby.
same time, he's a good guy. So
He's
Like, he
a
gonna
good-
learn
it's a
today.
good- he's a good. Somebody's gonna get taught.
Yeah.
but it's just good. So I love the energy. The crowd is good. And again, thank you guys for coming out. Glad that y'all can come by. Kind of sucks. Our weather kind of sucks right now, so
Yeah.
we could have take y'all out for a ride and something.
Hell yeah. Damn.
But
I got the Plaid outside. You want to pull up?
I don't got no all-wheel drive cars right now.
That's not my
so-
problem. Sounds like you need to get on that conversion.
I got a GTR that's on the base map.
Stop it.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching the podcast. Check out Titan Motorsports for all your parts and accessories. Check out JustinWhiteTuned for your GM tuning and soon to be on the Beamers, right?
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely.
Slowly but surely, but he'll be on there. Thank you guys so much. It's been a rough day. It's been long, but it's time to go home to Houston. Thank you. Peace.